Okay, so we're going to focus on the bony landmarks here of the arm, or starting at the elbow, and then the forearms going into the wrist and the hand. We're going to hit all the bones today and the bony landmarks that are associated with it. So our first bone, of course, we've had the humerus before when we were studying the shoulder, and so that's a major bone here. As we come down on the medial side, we have the ulna. And then on the lateral side, we've got the radius. Radius is always on the thumb side. We got that. That's easy to remember. Okay, so those are the three major bones just of the elbow. So when we look at the elbow, back at the back here, on the ulna, we've got something you can see as I take it off here. We've got this little piece right here, this little catch. This is called the olecranon, and you can look up the spelling for that. And then it goes into right here, and this is the olecranon fossa that the ulna fits in. So let's put their ulna right back in there. So there's our ulna in place. And you can see that our radius fits in. We've had epicondyle, or we've had condyles before. We've got condyles once again on our humerus. And so we've got a condyle right here. You can see. Did my dots show up? Okay. And then we've got a condyle right here. So the two condyles, before we would have said this is on the inside, so we would have called this a medial condyle, and this is on the outside, would have been a lateral condyle. The problem is with the elbow, we actually name these. So on the medial condyle, on the ulna side, this is the trochlea, and you can look up the spelling of the trochlea. And then on the radius side here, this is the capitulum. So we didn't just label them lateral and medial, but we gave them a name. So trochlea, yes, trochlea on the inside and capitulum on the outside. Okay, so along with our condyles, which are where our surfaces, our two bones come together, so that's articulating surfaces, then we go to our epicondyles, and these are going to become really important when we get into muscles. So this is the inside, so this is the medial epicondyle, and then around on this side, this is the lateral epicondyle here, okay? So that's what we've got, lateral epicondyle and medial epicondyle. So that takes care of the bone portions for the elbow. Now we're gonna go ahead and lift this up and get it out of the way here. So there's my ulna, there's my radius still, again, on the thumb side. So now let's do the bones of the wrist. And if you want to break this up and just study those parts that I've gone over with the elbow, that's fine. But I'm going to go ahead and keep doing. I'm going to hit all the bones so you've got them. But just watch the video over and over until we've got this down. When it comes to your wrist bones down here, we've got these series of 8 bones. These bones make up what are called the carpal bones. You've heard of carpal tunnel syndrome. Now you've got the carpal bones. Now, when I study these, it's easier for me to be on the back side. I don't know why, it just is. Okay, and so, and maybe now I'll stay on here on the front side. We'll do it backwards for me. But we always start on the thumb. So when it comes to my first carpal bone, we're actually going to start here where it connects to the radius. Okay, so this is the scaphoid bone here. The next bone over is the lunate. And then the reason I wanted to be on the back side is because I don't want this bone, but I want this one here. This is the triquetral or triquetrium. And then we finally have the pisiform here. So scaphoid, lunate, triquetral or triquetrium, and pisiform. And then we're going to start out again over here on this side, and we're going to hit the trapezium. Next is the trapezoid. Next is capitate, and finally the hamate. So the best way to learn these 8 is to come up with some sort of a mnemonic. And my mnemonic, and I got this out of a book somewhere, but it was Sally left the party to take Cindy home. So Sally left the party to take Cindy home. That's the best way to learn these bones. And so you can either use that one or come up with one on your own. I'd like for you to come up with one on your own. I think that's part of the assignment that you have to do when you go through the bones, is create your own that's original. And so that takes care of my carpal bones. So once again, starting here with the radius, scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. Sally left the party to take Cindy home. Okay, so that takes care of all the bones in the wrist. Now, from the carpal bones, then we go down into the metacarpals, and we've got these 5 metacarpals here. We always start counting our metacarpals at the thumb, so this is the first metacarpal, so that's number 1, and we just go from the thumb to the first finger then, so that's the second metacarpal, third, fourth, and fifth. Metacarpal are your hand bones. So in case you're wondering where we're at. And then finally, we get down into the phalanges. Again, this is just like what we had with the feet. With the phalanges, we're going to have a proximal and a distal. This is my proximal phalange, and this is my distal phalange. Your thumb only has 2 phalanges. Your fingers each has 3. So here's my proximal phalange. Here is my middle phalange, and then my distal phalange. Remember, distal is distant. And so again, we start numbering them at the thumb. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and each finger then has proximal, middle, distal. And don't forget that when we did the interphalangeal joints on the toes, we said that between these first 2 right here, since this is proximal, this is the PIP joint, the proximal interphalangeal joint, PIP. So that's that first joint between your 2 phalanges here. And then when we go down to the second one, that one, the bottom one here, right there beside, I keep getting a sign in my way, it's right by my blue line. That is the dip, the distal interphalangeal joint. Okay, so that should take care of all the bony landmarks that I want you to know. So phalanges, metacarpals, carpals, radius and ulna, and then we get into the humerus. And on the humerus, we've got the condyles, the epicondyles, and the olecranon back in the back. Okay, so I think that's everything that we need for this video. Please take the time to memorize, though. I know it's a lot of memorization, but let's go ahead and get those memorized.